What the Farfignugan HE double hockey sticks is an affirmation? And why should you care? I say don't. Don't worry about it. You just keep your cranium firmly wedged in your rectum. It's warm and cozy in there. Or you could choose to come out into the big wide world where you can build a better life for yourself. It is, after all, entirely your choice. First thing, I have zero intention of teaching you how to write an affirmation, because I have a resource for you. What you're going to do, in the description, there is a link to Jack Canfield's, it's called Daily Affirmations for Success, a step-by-step guide. It's a manual that Jack has put together. It is almost free. You have to trade your name and email address to get the manual. And you should. It's possible that as a viewer, you have yet to join Jack Canfield's email list. Okay, I understand that. This is your opportunity to join it. And join it, you should. The link to it, it's actually the very first link under primary resources. So when you look at the description, there's a little bit of a description about the video. Then there's a table of contents. Then there's a link to the PEP or POOP reference chart. And then there's a section called Primary Resources. The very first link in Primary Resources takes you to a page where you can give your name and your email address, and Jack's email system will send you a copy of Daily Affirmations for Success. And it is a step-by-step guide. I have it. I continue to use it. It's a reference. So when I am making new affirmations, I regularly just take a peek and make sure that I'm putting it together, correctly. So, if you're still watching, after I've said, I'm not going to teach you, I will assume, always a bad thing to do, but I'm going to do it this time around, but I am going to suppose that you have gone to the webpage, you have gotten Jack's guide for writing affirmations. Might be handy while I'm going through this video. And I'm sure you're asking, well, why bother doing a video if I have no intention of teaching you how to write an affirmation? Or, as the video is titled, authoring an affirmation. Sort of a play on me being an author, and writing an affirmation is authoring an affirmation, and it's also authoring your future, your life. The answer is, you're right. I do have something to teach. Now, you might ask, why do I have Jack's guide and continue to refer to it? Why would I keep using it? Either you know what you're doing or you don't. Yes? That's, generally the way it works. Well, yeah, it is generally the way it works. But not in this case. You see, this isn't Iron Chef. This isn't a Gordon Ramsay show. This is real life. In the same way that as a carpenter, especially now that I've been out of the trades for a while, if I wanted to cut rafters, I would need to read up again on how to use the tables on a square, a framing square, to be able to set up the rafters in the bird's mouth and get everything cut correctly. Similarly, I know how to cook, and I do most things from memory when I'm cooking. If I'm going to grill fish or pork chops or make quinoa or frozen vegetables, get them ready, whatever, I can just do that. But I also have a copy of the More with Less cookbook in my cupboard. Because sometimes you need a recipe to make sure that you are doing things correctly. And affirmations are that important. It's worth keeping the recipe handy. It's worth keeping its pages, I believe, 3 and 4. of the guide. It might be 2 and 3, but it's basically the first couple of pages. And it's a quick checklist to make sure that you put your affirmation together correctly. Well, I keep that handy. It's in my goal achievement binder. So that when I'm writing new affirmations, I can just take a peek. Make sure that I have put the affirmation together in the way that Jack recommends. Well, why trust Jack? Because I know Jack. I've known Jack at the time of recording. I have known Jack for 14 years. He's a great guy. He puts things together well. Are there some things we disagree about? Yeah, absolutely. No one agrees with I doubt that there's anyone who has someone in their life with whom they agree 100% of the time. We all disagree about something. But Jack knows what he is doing. And more importantly, to me, and I think it will become very important to you, I know that Jack knows what he is doing because I have used his guide for writing or authoring affirmations and experienced the results. So I know it works. So naturally, I make use of what I know works. And let me just touch on that. Here's a story that I experienced very recently. And it's all about affirmations and manifesting things into your life. So if you've watched a couple of the recent videos, you know that I had a dog, and her name is Priya. She is a cane corso, and I manifested her into my life. I wanted a dog. I wanted a female dog. I wanted a fertile female dog, so unspayed. I wanted specifically a cane corso, and I specifically wanted a mature dog rather than a puppy. So Priya is currently 7 years of age. I manifested her into my life. She came into my life for free. And if you know anything about purebred dogs, getting a cane corso for free is quite an achievement. But notice, this is a past tense story. She is no longer here. And there are some good reasons. The biggest one was the slobber. She drooled all the time. And I mean spaghetti drool. Her brother, Cairo, same breed, also has a little bit of slobber, but a little bit. Priya, on the other hand, when she would do the head shake thing, spit would fly everywhere. When I would wash the floor in my apartment, I had to take the mop and wash the walls too. And I had to wash the front of the stove, and I had to wash the refrigerator. I had to wash everything. That spit just flew everywhere. It was not fun. I also had to reschedule everything around her. You know, she has to be fed, she has to be walked, she has to be taken care of. Leaving her alone, not a great idea. It's not as though she, tore up a sofa or anything like that, but she disliked being left alone. And when I would come back home, after half an hour, 2 hours, any period of time, she was clingy. She needed to be right next to me. She followed me everywhere. So, not cool. And after 5 weeks, I reached a point where I just said, okay, this is wrong. And I reached out to her owner, her previous owner, and said, would you be willing to take her back? The answer was absolutely. So, Priya went back. You use affirmations to activate the law of attraction. And you use affirmations to draw things into your life. But the law of attraction has no awareness. It has no discernment. It just delivers whatever you visualize and affirm. And this is why, if what you're doing is rehearsing past failures, if you are always angry, if you're blaming others, then the law of attraction brings a big pile of poop into your life. Okay? Because you are going to succeed at whatever you choose to do. And if you choose to focus on past failures and be angry and blame others for things, you're going to be successful at that. And you're going to end up with the kind of life that goes with that attitude. Exactly the same if you rehearse past successes. And if you express gratitude and you recognize the abundance of opportunity around you. And if you watch the episode 2 before this about stimulating your imagination, you'll recognize rehearsed past successes, express gratitude, having, a positive outlook. If you do those things, then the law of attraction brings you more successes, it brings you more opportunity. Whatever you put out is what you get back. Just like programming. Garbage in, garbage out. Good stuff in, good stuff out. And your brain is the most sophisticated computer in existence. In my case, I visualized a cane corso dog, a female cane corso dog, a fertile female, and mature. And that's exactly what the law of attraction brought me. Precisely what I had visualized and affirmed. Unfortunately, it was the wrong dog for me. I did insufficient research to know these dogs, all of these dogs, slobber. Even Cairo, who slobbers far less than Priya, but even he still slobbers. And when he puts his head on your lap, or gives you a lick or anything along those lines, you are instantly wet. It was also the wrong timing for me. And that's an important thing. Remember that phrase. It was the wrong timing. It was the wrong dog, and it was the wrong timing. And I'm going to come back to this repeatedly, but I'll say it right now. Those two things these are examples of why Jack, in his guide on how to author an affirmation, he says to include the phrase, or something better. So rather than, I want exactly this car, I want exactly this job, I want exactly this spouse, I want whatever it is, this is what I want, or something better. Because of things that are going on at the time of recording, and this is being recorded in 2023, there is a warning that needs to go with this whole idea of affirmations. Because there are some folks out there, some very big, powerful folks out there, also some very vocal folks out there, with whom I definitely agree, or disagree, with whom I disagree. Now Jack and I, we disagree on some things, but there are some big folks out there that really need to be taken down several pegs. And I could keep my mouth shut. And, it would help me avoid a big dose of being flamed and a bunch of bigots and hotheads taking out their anger on me. But all that is required for evil to succeed is for good people to keep their mouths shut. And this channel is Cranium Ex Rectum. So here's a dose of Cranium Ex Rectum for the Association of American Medical Colleges and the World Health Organization. They talk about something they call gender affirming care. And aside from the damage that this is doing to children, it is going to cause confusion for people around the concept of affirmations and affirming something. Here's how it's defined by the World Health Organization. Gender affirming care encompasses a range of social, psychological, and yes, I have a script, so I am reading this to make sure that I quote them correctly. Gender affirming care encompasses a range of social, psychological, behavioral, and medical interventions designed to support and affirm an individual's gender identity when it conflicts with the gender they were assigned at birth. Okay, so let's clean up some of this, because it's just wrong. Completely illiterate, for starters. Gender. What is gender? So there are three grammatical kinds. Okay? Male, female, and neutral. That correspond more or less to distinctions of sex or absence of sex. So, his something or other is male, her something or other is female, and its something or other is neutral. But here's the thing. Gender is determined by sex. So, his, him, these are male pronouns. Her, hers, female pronouns. Its, neutral pronouns. Gender is for grammar. Sex is for biology. So it isn't gender transition, it's a sex change. And even a sex change is impossible. When a male says, I want to look like a woman, they cut off his gonads, his testicles, and they cut off his penis, and then they give him a pocket. They never install female gonads, the ovaries. So ovaries, fallopian tubes, and a uterus. A man is never going to have a uterus and be able to support having a child. That's never going to happen, never going to be female. Going to look female, but never going to be female. Similarly, if a female says they want to be a male, they will certainly give her a hysterectomy and take out all her female genitalia. They will give her some fake testicles, but there's no way for them to give her real testicles and make them work, because a woman's body is unable to support testicles. It's designed to support ovaries. These are facts. But what's happening is, folks like the American medical colleges and the World Health Organization are doing to the word gender what was done to the word gentleman. Gentleman, once upon a time, gentleman was simply a descriptor. It was no different than saying tall, short, fat, thin, young, old. If you said, Conrad is a gentleman, all you were saying is that I have a coat of arms and I own land. That's it. Yeah, I have the right to bear arms. I have the right to wear a sword and bear arms. I have a coat of arms and I own land. But then it became, well, who is really the gentleman? The person who has the coat of arms and owns land, or the person who behaves that we think in a way that we think a gentleman should behave? Because you had people that were gentlemen and scoundrels. But to say that guy over there who abuses his peasants and is a thief and does all kinds of things that he ought not to do, that guy is a gentleman. Because again, all you're saying is he has a coat of arms and he owns land. Well, today, the word gentleman is a compliment. Oh, you're such a gentleman. You're a gentleman and a scholar. And withholding that is an insult. And this change to gender comes courtesy of a fellow named John Money. He was, and yes, I'm looking down to read the notes, Dr. John Money worked at Johns Hopkins University Hospital in the 1950s. And he invented the idea that we have a psychological sex. His proposition is we are born neutral. As far as gender is concerned, we are neutral. We're neither male or female. We might have a penis, we might have a vagina. And that's our physical sex. But then there is our gender, our psychological sex. And as we go through life, we might exhibit multiple genders. Whatever we feel like on a given day. And his proof of concept was an experiment with a set of identical twins. Now, they're currently referred to as David and Brian Reimer. Now, David is the one on whom the experiment was conducted. He was originally born Bruce. They were identical twins, and John Money's proof of concept resulted in both of these boys committing suicide. So his proof of concept, and what happened, both boys had a condition where their foreskin was failing to retract and they were having difficulty urinating. So David went in for a surgery first, and the doctor who did it, instead of simply circumcising him, tried to cauterize the foreskin off and ended up doing extreme damage to the boy's penis. The parents end up taking their child down to Johns Hopkins Hospital. They meet Dr. Money, who says, "That's fine. You just raise that one as a girl. You know, we'll give him cosmetic surgery, give him a little bit of hormone treatments at the right time. He won't know the difference. He will grow up as a girl." Well, Bruce, who became Joan, who became David, never felt like a girl. Always felt like a boy. His masculinity came through. And that caused all kinds of difficulty. And there were lots of things that Dr. Money did wrong, physically, sexually abusing him, David, and his brother Brian. Just a horrendous situation. And it resulted in both boys committing suicide. Gender affirming care is actually about affirming the delusion that your sex is anything other than biological. It pushes Money's idea that there is a psychological sex, and there isn't. There are lots of psychological hang-ups about sex, but this idea that, and Leah Thomas as an example, I believe that's the guy that was a complete failure as a swimmer, as a boy, decided to be a girl, goes and competes against girls, and now the top 15 records in swimming are all held by Leah Thomas. And she wins all the competitions that she goes into, and the reason why is Leah Thomas doing this? Because she just wants to be happy. To hell with everybody else and whatever they are experiencing. She just wanted to win. She just wanted to be on the gold medal platform. It's bizarre, but that's the thing that's happening, and that's the reason I want to draw a distinction between what World Health Organization says is affirming, which is to reinforce a delusion, versus what is an affirmation. Because I guarantee when you talk to people about affirmations and you say, here are the affirmations that I use. One for me is that my comedy career enables me to travel around the world and perform to audiences of 5,000 or more, showing them how to live a fulfilling, empowering life using PEP, personal empowerment practices, and the necessity for a healthy dose of POOP, personal offensive obstructive practices. The idea being, every garden needs fertilizer to be healthy and strong. Well, you are going to tell people your affirmation, and they are going to go, oh, who are you to do that? What makes you think you can accomplish that? Because people will look at what you're saying and they'll say, well, that's just a dream. That's just something you hope for. Because an affirmation is more than the words. I have talked before about your self-image. When you vividly, repeatedly imagine a thing, your self-image accepts it as true. And so an affirmation is a verbal trigger for you to see the visualization. So if your affirmation is about having a house in the country, a house in the city, a house in Australia, whatever it is, the affirmation is a cue for you to see the house in vivid detail. And if it's, in my case, that my comedy career will enable me to travel the world and perform before audiences of 5,000 or more. So that triggers me to go back through the visualizations that I have to do the imagination movie, and see myself on stage performing in front of an audience. And the imagined rehearsal, so that I am standing on the stage and I'm doing my comedy routine and I see the audience and I hear them laughing and I feel the rush of adrenaline and approbation from the audience. Okay, there is a huge difference, because when you do an affirmation, with it is the action to build toward that thing. You are taking action, you are visualizing it, you are drawing this into your life. Whereas the idea of a boy can be a girl can be a boy, that is fundamentally, inherently untrue. A boy's physiology, whether he has gone through puberty or no, a boy's physiology is never going to support a girl's anatomy. And a girl's physiology is never going to support a boy's anatomy. You are never going to be able to put a penis on a woman. In fact, medicine is currently unable to do that. They cannot put a working penis onto a woman. So understand the difference. They call it gender affirming care, when no, you're actually telling them, you're right. The sex that you have is the wrong. If you think you should have a different sex, then you should go with that. That's poppycock. Versus, you want to be wealthy, you want to be successful, you want to be well known, you want to be a published author, you want to have a strong, healthy family with strong, healthy relationships. These are great things that you can work toward and build in your life. But the haters out there will tell you, you can't do that. You're just putting on airs. These are just pipe dreams. The same people that are, oh, you should be tolerant. You should tolerate whatever. And yet they're the most intolerant people I have ever met. Whatever you believe. So if you believe evolution, that order comes out of chaos, it's a theory that contradicts the law of thermodynamics, that all closed systems tend toward chaos. But okay, you believe evolution is the thing. Or you believe some version of Christianity. So some incredibly alien creature that can say pigeon, and poof, a pigeon comes into existence. Or it says sun, light, and suddenly the big ball of fire is in the sky. Okay? Whatever you call it, opening yourself up to other possibilities with that phrase, or something better. Yes, I'm back onto where I actually want to be. It also opens the door for the creative force, whatever you call it, to bring you something better, at a better time, and with better results. So when I was visualizing Priya, I was visualizing a fertile female cane corso dog, mature, 6, 7, 8 years of age. I got exactly what I visualized. Had I been visualizing, I want a dog, I think I want a mature female fertile cane corso, or something better, that would have opened the door to maybe a different breed. Almost certainly a different breed. Different timing. And something that would come into my life at a time in a way that is supportive and helps me move forward. Versus a dog that came into my life, was here for 5 weeks, ended up being very disruptive to my life, and I had to ask the owner if she would take her back. Keep yourself open to the possibility of rewriting your affirmations as you go along. Let's say your affirmation is to be married. Well, once you're married, is that it? No goals after that? Sure there are. So you're going to need new affirmations for new goals. There are also going to be goals that you start out saying, for example, cane corso, female, fertile, mature. That you will change as you go along and realize, yeah, maybe that's the wrong dog. Just the wrong thing. So as each goal or each affirmation is achieved, you will need to develop new goals and write new affirmations. And as you gain experience, it's completely fine to tweak or reword your affirmations to reflect your better understanding of what it is that you want, where it is that you want to go. Wherever you are today, there is somewhere you want to go, right? Because if there were nowhere you wanted to go, I sincerely doubt you would be watching videos about how to get value from self-help. So what happens when you get there? You want to be famous, you want to have a house, you want to have a family, you're achieving things in personal growth, you're achieving strong relationships, you're healthy, you have a business that's going, your finances are great. Okay. So do you just kind of coast along after that? Or do you think that life will just stop happening? I think we all understand that in life, you are either growing or you are receding. There is no just float along. Oh, you can float along for a week or maybe even 6 months, something like that. But if you don't do anything, if you make no effort to achieve anything, then instead of floating along, you are going to end up depressing. And if you do choose to achieve, then you're not floating along, you're actually moving up, you're growing, you're expanding. Let me just wrap it up with this thought. The only way for you to become aware of what it is you want is by picking something and working toward it. Now, as you work toward it, you might realize, oh, I don't really want this. I don't really want a fertile female cane corso dog that slobbers all over my apartment. I want something different. I want something better. And you are going to rewrite your affirmations, you're going to change your goals, until you figure out, here is what I'm after, here is what I want. And so when you are first starting, it is completely natural to experience some level of frustration. You're headed towards something and then, that turned out that isn't what I wanted. Okay, that's fine. Now you know. You learned something. You gained experience. So you shift your goal, reword it, change it to something that you think is closer to what you want, and then you move toward that. And the process of achieving your life goals, what it is you want to do in your life, we are taught to think that it should be this kind of path. Just, oh, there's what I want, go get it. There's what I want, go get it. But it isn't that kind of path. It's more like this. And if you introduce affirmations and you introduce visualization, it tends to end up being like this. Okay, so it's sharp adjustments, and they get smaller and smaller and smaller until you are on track. Just like artillery. Artillery tends to take 3 shots to get on target. The first one is, are you in line with the target? The second one is, do you have the range to the target? And then the third one is, you're hitting the target. And this was true back when they were firing cannons, and this is true when they're firing artillery today. The only reason, and you will see it with the war in Ukraine, the only reason the Ukrainians are able to be precise and hit things on the first shot is because today we have drones that can go up in the sky, spot the thing, and get the GPS coordinates for where that thing is. Send those GPS coordinates back to the artillery team, who sets up their artillery piece, fires, and hits on the first hit. Without that drone, if there were an artillery spotter, he would give approximate coordinates. First round hits, adjust left or right. Second round hits, adjust for distance. Third round hits, you're on target, fire for effect. I'm not sure if that made it clearer or perhaps a little bit more confusing. In any case, let's call this the end of the video. I look forward to, chatting with you or chatting at you in the next video. And most importantly, please, anything that I've confused you on, anything about which you have questions, by all means put them below in the comments. Even if this video is 10 years old by the time you see it, if you put something in the comments, YouTube will tell me that there is a new comment there. I will see it, and you will get an answer. Okie doke. Thank you very much. I appreciate you watching. Have yourself a good day.